We have a voicemail number. That number is 219-2-DAVID-P. Here is a voicemail about the physical versus ebook debate. Listen to this.
Hey, David, this is Oli from Dallas, Texas. A couple of months ago, I raised a question in terms of your opinion regarding audiobooks versus traditional books. But now I have a new question. Do you think that reading physical books is better than reading, books on, Kindle or on your iPad? Or do you think that there's not really much of a difference?
All right, this is a very good question. There is probably a difference between reading physical books and reading ebooks. There are a bunch of studies that have come to conclusions like, for example, you absorb more from physical books. Physical books are easier on the eyes. Physical books are better for sleep and sleep hygiene, so you're not on a device in bed at night. I am not super concerned with those studies, although I do think that they are interesting. But for me, it's the bigger picture of there's a physical experience of reading a paper book that you simply don't get when you go from Facebook to your Kindle app on your phone. And with so much now happening on screens, I want to preserve activities that are not taking place on screens. In fact, Cal Newport, who was on the show recently spoke about this when he talks about physical notebooks and the experience of writing on a physical notebook on a recent podcast episode of his. So I do prefer physical books. At one point, I almost switched to ebook, and then I said, you know what? I do enough on screens. I want the experience of the physical book. There's something about, on a plane, reading the physical book, in bed at night, reading the physical book. In addition to this, if you store all your books on a device, then you lose the physical library in the home. And the physical library in the home is known to be tied to better educational outcomes for kids. The physical library in the home is known to generate ideas. When you look over and you see the physical library and the books that you've read, there's something that it does for creativity. There's something that it does psychologically. I think that that's all yet another reason to stick to physical books. But one other thing I will say is that any reading is better than none. We recently talked about a study that found that roughly half of Americans did not read a single book last year, not a single book. So if it's the difference between reading or not reading at all, go with the ebook. By all means, have at it. If I'm honest, I prefer the physical books. I think there's a lot of good reasons to go with the physical book. And speaking of physical books, let me tell you about something else that is going on.